YouTube is.
Yeah, it's always a very big challenge once it has saved. But then let's just go. Maybe the later the deleting key will come out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we are live now.
Yes, we are.
Yes. Pascal, Pascal, can you hear me? Can
Yes,
you
yes,
guys hear me?
yes, I'm trying to get the link.
All right. So just share the link with them and tell them that we are live now. Um, I have to divide the screen into two now. Yeah. All right. I hope everyone can hear me right now. So, Jennifer, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So we are currently live on our YouTube channel, and I believe people will be listening to what we are saying. All right. So, I want to welcome you to this podcast event this afternoon. It's a few minutes past 2 p.m. Central Standard Time in the United States of America and 8 p.m. in West Africa. Um, so I want to welcome you here and welcome everyone who is joining us from anywhere. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from wherever you're joining us from. So this is an event. We want to have a live chat with one of our scholars, a woman who has distinguished herself in her field of study. Jennifer is very wonderful. She's a distinguished scholarship recipient, and in fact, she's a scholar. And in this discussion today, we are going to discuss about how women contribute to the society and how we can possibly make women to be more viable in our society today. So, without wasting of any time, I want to start. I don't want to do the introduction for her. I want her to speak for herself. So, Jennifer, if you can hear me, can you share a little bit about your educational journey and what motivated you to excel in economics?
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Stanley, for inviting me to this session today. I'm really honored to be here and also to be chosen to speak on this topic, which is really dear to me. I appreciate the invitation. So my name is Jennifer Amarachi Abu, and I'm currently a master's student studying international and development economics at Yale University. I also hold a BSc in economics from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And shortly before I left Nigeria, I worked as a research assistant at Lagos Business School. And for my interest in economics, I would say it started at a very young age. I mean, looking back now, I would really say it started at a very young age. My mother used to run a provision store, and at age 7, 8, 9, I remember handling the provision store out of my siblings, and people will always say, "Amarachi, you know how to economize." And at that age, I didn't really know what economizing means. I felt like it meant being stingy. So after looking the word up, and it really meant maybe economics, economist, and I was interested in having a career in that field. And it was also at that time that Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala became the first female Minister of Finance for Nigeria. And I felt like for a woman to be in a such powerful and impactful career and leadership position, being an economist is really worth it. So I started my journey towards being an economist, and I knew that there was no backing out from that decision. If I had to be an economist, I have to be a good economist. So I decided to study economics at University of Nigeria and Soka. And because I'm also interested in solving poverty, providing solutions to core poverty for developing countries, and also like investment in infrastructural development, I also ventured into international and development economics, specifically at Yale, which I'm currently studying and hoping for the best. Thank you so much for having me on this session once again.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was very wonderful of you. Yeah, when you said something, I was wondering on your WhatsApp, I saw Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as your display picture, and I was even going to ask you here, but thank God you provided an insight on that, on why you have her as so which means from what you just said, she is your role model. She's she's really a great woman. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is a great woman, and I really appreciate her so much. I think by 31st of this month, there will be a program coming up in, I think, Arise TV or so, where they're going to honor a lot of women, and her picture is there. So I'm going to watch that program from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for that. So can you tell us, what challenges did you face as a woman pursuing higher education in Nigeria? And how did you actually overcome these challenges?
Okay. So I feel like this is a podcast, and you have to be as genuine as possible.
Yeah,
So I would say that one of the challenges I faced was actually personal and family related. I come from a family of four daughters, and I can remember those days when we were small. My father would always threaten us that he's going to withdraw our school fees, our school support, that he's not going to pay. Like, after all, at the end of the day, you guys will just marry and there will be nobody here and there will be nothing left. So I faced that a lot of times, and he was struggling with financial difficulties, but those words were kind of demotivating. But then for me, I saw it as an encouragement. If it's really difficult to pay the school fees, that means you have to go to school and get the most out of it, and also prove everybody wrong that financing a girl child won't just end up at the girl getting married and like everything just ended with marriage. And I'm very sure most young girls in poor income families are also facing this kind of challenges. Not that they would stop paying the school fees, but they will always throw those kind of statements that they will withdraw the school fees if you don't, if or maybe they will change you to another school that has less value. I had those kind of statements when I was young. And for me, it was like a driving force. I saw education as being very important because I've seen women. Growing up, I saw a lot of women in successful positions, and they got there because of their educational status or the investment they made in education. So I knew that education can be a solution to problems, a solution, a way of contributing to the community and maybe getting out of poverty. So I invested so much in that. So that's one of the challenges I faced. Another one was related to cultural mindsets about being ambitious and also like gender roles. Many young girls in our society, we are like, we are trained to, we are taught to aspire quietly. Like, don't be over ambitious because there's a certain age you reach. The next thing everybody in the society will be looking out for is when are you going to have a family? When are you going to get married? And I value family a lot, but I believe that instilling such mindset in young girls at that young age is improper. Like, it is not something that should be encouraged because it can suppress potential, ability to like see yourself in higher position. And I value family a lot, but I believe that sorry, there's okay.
yeah,
So
continue.
Yeah, so I believe this can suppress their potential and ability for them to think for themselves. They can, because I had friends that, so one way I solved this was surrounding myself with more male friends, because I believe the male friends think differently sometimes. They have more ambitious. They're always like 10 years ahead of me, like in terms of preparing for my future. They are
Wow.
like I noticed that at a young age, like they are thinking forward. They have like more years to think forward, something like that. So
We
I
are
had to,
flattered.
yeah, I had to surround myself with more male friends to in order to balance that confidence and courage to pursue my goal like fearlessly, because I noticed that in them. And that way I was able to like think out of the box. Okay, take marriage aside, take family aside, whatever it is that the society has like taught us, or you know, like taught us over time. I would always think, what can I do now? How can I think about my future, all things being constant without the marriage? How can I have a better life? How can I get opportunities, without having any restriction? And that really, really helped me. Another challenge I had was access to mentorship or resources or information. And yeah, so one way I solved that was joining organizations and other platforms early on in school. I was always seeking information and reaching out to people and asking necessary questions and applying for professional development programs. So like also opening a LinkedIn account early on to follow people's career trajectory, look at people's profiles to like see the kind of programs they've attended in the past, the kind of career progress, the career path they took and the decisions they made at each point in time. That way I was able to like craft my own path and like started my journey. So yeah.
Okay. So I can see that you secured funding from one of the Ivy League universities here in the US. So how did you secure this funding for your studies? And what advice do you have for other young women out there seeking scholarship?
Okay, so about securing funding for studies, I would say in general requires a lot of persistence, strategic planning, and also self-advocacy, especially at this point in time that funding is very difficult to get,
Yeah,
especially
yeah,
in the
sure.
US. So you must be very persistent if you want to get funding and find ways to stand out. And I would say one thing I did was starting my research on time very early. So one mistake a lot of people do is starting to research like a month to the deadline. That is when you are starting to prepare your documents and other requirements. But for me, I started very early, like 1 year before my application, or let's say 8 months before my application, to study what is needed, how to stand out, because many thousands of people are going for the same opportunity you are going for. So you have to be seen if you want the funding. You have to prove to the selection committee that you are worthy of the funding. So one way is to research early and know the programs that align with your goals and those ones that you're competitive for. And then tailor your application to those programs. Like instead of submitting the same documents for different programs, you have to look into each one and make sure that it aligns with the program's goals and objective. And on the side, build your academic profile. Having a good academic standing is important, like first class, but also show them that it's not just about academics, that you can also like balance, that you are a well-rounded student in terms of having leadership experience, volunteering experience as well, and social impact, as well as academic excellence, because you also need those skills to manage the challenges of a graduate program. So your academic excellence might not be enough for those challenges that will come after on. So you have to show that you are resilient and you can withstand those challenges. And then my advice for also, again, I was able to join some groups early on because I started researching on time. I knew that I would have some challenges along the way that would prevent me from even applying to be seen and be considered for those opportunities, something like application fee. Because at that time I was doing my NYSC in Nigeria and we were paid 33K. So how will I save 33K and pay for $100 application fee? So I knew that I needed help. I needed mentorship, I needed resources. So I sought out for organizations that support this cause, something like Education USA, GAIN, Graduate Application International Network for People in Economics, and also iScholar. They will pay for your standardized tests and also provide you funding for the application fees and like mentorship and other advice that you might need. And then some other organizations that are out there, you have to do your research and know where you can get help from. And my advice for anyone that is interested in graduate school is just start on time, start now, start from where you are. Don't wait until you are fully ready. Some people just when they reach out, they always tell me that, oh, they don't have this, they don't have that. Nobody has it at the starting point. Nobody has everything at the starting point. You just like have to start with one thing and just keep on building your profile. And it mustn't happen this year. It can be next year, it can be next 2 years. Like whenever you feel like you're ready enough. But one thing you have to do is to start and give it a chance. Take away imposter syndrome or that feeling that you are not worthy enough or you can't be considered, for those opportunities. Just shoot your best shot and see what happens. Another one is participate in some extracurricular activities, volunteer, like things that would help you build your profile. Go on LinkedIn and try to develop your profile to be, to be seen and to be competitive for those programs. You want to do everything you can do to stand out and then be authentic in your application documents, be your real self and let the selection committee see you for who you are, so yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
so yeah, I mean, one of the points I picked out there is you had a very big challenge in paying application fee, and we at Edu Africa, we've actually seen that that is a very big challenge for everybody. Even myself, it was a very big challenge for me then when I was in Nigeria. Because when you convert naira into dollar, it's not something you can easily come by. But then we are doing our best to see how we can do that, and that is why very soon we are looking forward to announcing a scholarship that we want to give, and by the next academic session application, we will be able to award some application fee to some people through a competitive process, which we will announce very soon. All right.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. So let's talk about the role of scholarship and mentorship in society today. You were one of the recipients of our personal travel allowance. I know that last year we did a personal travel allowance scholarship, and you were one of the recipients. Your application was very wonderful. In fact, I must confess, I must commend you so much in your statement of. In fact, when we read it, it was wonderful, and you were selected for that. So, how did that particular scholarship we gave to you last year impact your journey coming to the US?
So yeah, the personal travel allowance that I received last year was for me, it was a peace of mind because at that point that I was trying to transition from Nigeria to the US to begin my program at Yale, I was facing a lot of challenges. And one significant challenge I faced was also financial challenges. Like I mentioned, I was just a core member. And all of the
Yeah,
sudden I had a lot of things to pay for. And I was
child.
like, how am I going to do this? You have a good thing on your table, but you just don't know the next step to take. So it was at that point that I got the scholarship and it removed a significant burden at that critical time in my life and allowed me to prepare and settle down for the next thing in my life, like focus on what matters and not just like the finance. And then for me, beyond the monetary value, like the money I received from the scholarship, it reaffirmed for me, like it was a way for me to confirm and reaffirm that there are people outside there, a network of people outside there that are interested in the success of every young African. Because after the scholarship, I heard that like after we got the scholarship, I heard that it was just a group of students in the US that came together to like provide these funds. And I was amazed how people that have gone beyond us are always looking back to see how they can help in any way possible, like to bring to to alleviate the challenges that we are facing back in Nigeria. And it's something really impressive. And I hope to pay it forward one day. And I'm also like expressing my gratitude once again. Thank
Yeah,
you
yeah,
to the
yeah, yeah.
entire team. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that because what we do is we try to, because all of us at Edu Africa, all of us, both myself, my co-founder, my board members, and every other person in Edu Africa, we all passed through these financial challenges. It wasn't easy for all of us in those days. So that's why we have won the shoe. So we know where it pinches people. And that is why what we do it at Edu Africa, since we have passed through that process, we know what our people really need. That's why we came up with that. And but we wanted to give more, but due to budget constraints, we
Yeah.
couldn't give more than six. We are only able to give 6%. So, but we are going forward. We are looking forward to, because what we are doing is at Edu Africa is we empower you to empower others. So going forward, we look forward to see those we have empowered come back and empower others. That's actually what we are doing. And that's what we are preaching in Edu Africa is we as helping you so that within the next couple of years, you can actually help to develop your home and also your host country.
True.
So yeah. So what role has mentorship played in your academic career? I mean, both your academic career and your professional career. How has mentorship played a good role there?
Yeah. So for me, mentorship has been really been a transformative force in my both academic career and professional life. For me specifically, mentorship is reaching out to people that have gone before you, people that have passed through a similar path that you're interested in, or maybe have done something that you're interested in at a moment, reaching out to them and asking questions like, what did you do? What should I do? What should I avoid? What do you suggest? What do you advise? So for me, that's what mentorship is. And it mustn't necessarily be informal circumstances like having a mentor and you guys are meeting like every month or every week. It mustn't necessarily be that. It can just be simply reaching out to people on even people that you don't know on LinkedIn and asking questions like, I can see you did this. Can you please advise me on how I can do this? Or reaching out to like a senior colleague at work that did something that you're interested in and learning from what the person did, or even a friend. So that for me, that is what I define as mentorship, including the formal circumstances. And for me, this mentorship has enabled me to avoid mistakes that could have had like strong consequences. I was able to understand what aligns with my career path and make better decisions and avoid costly mistakes. Also, mentorship when I was trying to like select programs for graduate school was also mentorship that helped me to see clearer and like see the kind of programs that align with what I want to do, make better decisions about selecting them and so on. And so far so there's no limit to mentorship. There's no limit to how you can go. It's like a continuous learning process. So far, you still want to be growing in your career or the field of whatever field you are. You always need to reach out to people that have done it before. It's as if you can't see the future. So you are here, you can't see the future, but people have gone before you to like see that future that you are anticipating. You cannot ask them, since you've gone there before, what do you advise I do? Since you've seen this, what do you advise? Which path do you think I should take? So mentorship has been very crucial for me in my career development.
Thank you so much on that. And then at Edu Africa, we value mentorship so much. We value mentorship in Edu Africa, and that is why one of the major services we are providing to young scholars out there is a mentorship in different areas, both in research, in publication processes, in application for scholarships, in writing skills. So we are providing mentorship on that, and we are looking forward to, like I said before, we are going to have a very competitive program coming up soon, which people are going to apply, and those that will emerge, we will select them and provide one-on-one mentorship. We want to in place mentorship in Edo Africa very soon, and the way we want to do it is at this point we will match mentors with mentees, according to their areas of specialization. Like somebody who is an economist and you are applying to study a master's or PhD in economics, we will match you with a scholar in that area who would mentor you and make sure that the person guides you very well and get you to meet up with your career plans in life. So yeah, mentorship is very important. Now, another thing I want to know from you, how can more organizations and institutions support African women? Because the role of African women in education is something that cannot be easily jettisoned. So how do you think organizations and institutions can support African women in education?
All right. So most importantly, I feel like one of the biggest challenge that African women face is still the financial constraints to support themselves, through advanced education, for instance. Most people just end up at like a bachelor's degree level and that is it. Some people don't even have the opportunity to go to a university. So because of financial constraints, and it is increasingly getting worse day by day as Nigeria is being pushed into a higher poverty rate. So I feel like organizations that are interested in promoting women participation in the society should offer targeted scholarships and grants. And I would say those scholarship and grants shouldn't just be academic merit, because I know that some women, maybe they don't have the academic merit, but they have great potential to contribute positively to the economy. Maybe they are good entrepreneurs, they are good innovators in another area entirely. In as much as we are promoting academic merit and also like people in education, which is important, we should also like look back and see people that maybe were deprived of the educational opportunity. They couldn't maybe go to school, they couldn't get to an advanced level to compete for the academic merit scholarships. We can look for an alternative option for them, maybe promoting their businesses, offering skill empowerment programs, and giving them access to finance to promote whatever it is they are into, to like ensure representation of women in all fields. And then for people in education in particular, ensure that we provide more funds, provide more scholarship and grants specifically for women in male-dominated areas. Then I cannot overemphasize the importance of mentorship that we just like discussed a few minutes ago. Mentorship is also very crucial, just like what EduAfrica is doing, a one-on-one mentorship. So, but in this case, maybe I will take it back to secondary school. I initially mentioned that women in Africa grow up with that mindset of having limited ambition and potential. So if we can catch them young when they are still younger and not like just at the university age, which is like popular right now. Many people are investing into mentorship for women, but just like women that are already advanced to the university level, which is like something very encouraging to do, but like also taking it back to secondary school level, like the teenagers as well, when their mindset is still very young, exposing them to leadership opportunities and skill building program for them to know that they can go as far as they want in life and not having like any limitations. Then another point I would make is also inclusive policies in our country. Nigeria has made like a huge progress in ensuring that women are involved and engaged into political activities. But recently, we're also seeing that, going back. So we should ensure that we invest into public policies that are inclusive of women, not just for the sake of being inclusive of women, but providing that environment where women feel safe to voice out and make their opinions or contribute to whatever it is that will help the development of the country. Yeah.
Yes, supporting women in politics is one thing that I support so much. And even though our country, Nigeria, is actually trying as much as they can to do that, but we've not gotten there. For instance, look at our Senate. We have about just 4 women there. And, and at the moment, we have even one of them is on suspension. So we have like 3 active women in in that area now. So we really need to do more. We really need to do more. I think during Goodluck Bella Jonathan's regime, they were advocating for 35%, I think. But I don't think that has been achieved now. And we really need to do more because we have come to realize that a woman is not meant to be in the kitchen like generally people say. No. So people say women are meant for kitchen and the bedroom. No, 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 no. We are now in a civilized age where women's role cannot be easily jettisoned. Yes. All
True.
right. Let's now talk about women in economics and then development generally. So economics, especially at an Ivy League university like Yale, is often male-dominated course. Yes. Now, how has your experience been there as a woman in this field? I mean, how is your experience being in that field as a woman?
Yeah. So honestly, I must say that while economics has traditionally been male dominated over time, I think I've seen a gradual shift to, having a more balanced cohort and also like including women mostly in the programs. For instance, many programs I've observed, including mine, are making like active efforts to ensure that they recruit gender balanced cohorts. So for instance, what I've observed, even in my undergraduate program, is like seeing the inclusivity or like the number of women included admitted in the program hover around 40% of women to 60, which is not perfect. Sometimes maybe 50% or even more. It's not certainly perfect, but it's much more better than other like heavy technical fields like engineering, where you just see about 10% or 20% of women. But then representation is one thing, having like involving women so much in STEM related field. I feel like economics is making a huge progress compared to other technical programs. But representation is also not enough. It's just like a part of the equation, a part of the solution. What matters, just like I've said, is including women and also providing the environment where they feel safe, where we feel safe, we can contribute to, decision making, we can lead, we can lead without like having any bias, without people
Exactly.
thinking, oh, you're
Yeah.
a woman, why are you doing this? We should like, if we went to school with you, if we have the same degree, we should contribute equally and not having that biased mindset that you are just a woman, what can you do? So in as much as including women, we should also provide a safe environment for us to voice out. But then what I've noticed recently and really excites me is that there's a growing momentum for initiatives that support women, especially in Nigeria, which I've like observed. So there are so many organizations that are um, there are so many organizations that are like coming up with women-only initiatives. For instance, I benefited from one, which is like the Women Textile Fellowship, where I think Microsoft and Tech for Dev partnered to provide scholarships to women to study tech like any tech related field, like software engineering, data science, and product development, and a lot of them. And there are so many other programs like this in Nigeria, and also from organizations like World Bank, UN, IMF. So I believe these are creating real differences and, also like a turning point for gender equity. And what I hope for is seeing a sustained progress, because it's not enough to like come up with initiatives and maybe you are not like calculating the impact to see if you are really making any changes. Maybe you are doing all these things, but they're not really moving any mountains. So I hope for sustained progress in this, and also like access, because it's not enough to like come up with initiatives and maybe you are not like calculating the impact.
Continue.
Yeah, so we must focus on retention and advancement, hoping that these initiatives continue over time. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Um, now, what are some key economic challenges in Nigeria and other developing countries that you are so passionate about addressing? I mean, what is a major key economic issue you believe in Nigeria that you, as a woman, you are so passionate about addressing either now or in future?
Okay, so just like you said, there are so many developing challenges or development challenges, however you want to put it. But then there are so many issues that developing countries are facing, of which everybody, whether you are an economist or a developmental economist, engineer, whatever you are, so you can contribute to solving these issues. For me, I'm particularly interested in infrastructural development and also having a strong political institution, because I believe these two issues are the major things that developing countries have. And specifically, I've been working at the intersection of energy, infrastructure, and manufacturing. So there are so many informal sectors in Nigeria and also like formal sectors, and most of them are not able to scale up because of low access to energy, for instance, and electricity. They are not being productive because they don't have those essential infrastructural, infrastructure to their disposal. They can't scale up, they can't expand investments. It's just like a lot of things. And I've been looking into the research at the intersection of infrastructural development policy as well. Like what kind of policies can we make to ensure that investors are attracted to Africa to help, make investments, because it's a huge investment. Sometimes the public sector alone can handle the challenges and the kind of funds needed to scale up these infrastructure. So how can we create enabling investment environment for foreigners to come in, or maybe even if it's through aid, and how can we use the aid adequately? So we need like the small and medium scale enterprises, we need informal sectors, and we need government as well. And also I'm interested in poverty. Obviously, poverty is always the end goal, because if you fix a lot of issues, it will come down to poverty and try like resolve poverty. But for me, I'm more interested in the bottom-up approach, unlike many people that look at the national indicators and maybe like start from the government and start from the top. I'm looking at the bottom-top approach because we have many informal sectors in Nigeria, more especially the SMEs, the small and medium-scale enterprises. So how can we support them to build Africa? How can we provide them with the infrastructure they need? How can we provide access to funds for them to scale up, whichever level they can? Because I believe that will create jobs. People will not have to rely on the government for jobs. It will also like reduce poverty greatly. So those are the issues I'm interested in.
Yeah, I picked out something very important in all the things you have said, and that is poverty. It's a very big challenge we have in not just Nigeria, but in most African countries. And then that's why one of my role model in politics, Stapito Obi, I must mention his name, has always emphasized on turning turning Nigeria into a productive country. So, and for him, which it's something I believe in, if you stop poverty, many other things will be stopped. The crimes, the crime rates, and other things will be taken care of because it's because people are actually hungry. I believe is one of the major contributory factor to the kind of insecurity challenge we are currently having in not just Nigeria but most other places. So, talking about poverty is something that we are all concerned about, and I love so much what uh, Tony Elumelu, Mr. Tony Elumelu, is doing with his foundation. And that is why, when they contacted me to come and become a mentor, I said, wow, this man that I have always admired. Because of my passion, because I love what's that foundation, because Tony Elumelu is one of the persons I'm looking forward to. He's a role model that I'm looking forward, and I'm trying to replicate whatever he's doing in his foundation at Edu Afrique to see how we can contribute using Edu Afrique platform to help and support young people in Africa. He has done a lot, and I appreciate him so much. I wish other rich men we have can do at least 3/4 of what Tony Lumelu is in. I believe poverty will run away in Africa.
True.
Yeah. So tell me, what are some key? Okay, what can young African women interested in economies or development make a tangible impact? How do you think African women who are interested in economies or development make a tangible impact in their communities? How do you think they can contribute to the growth and development of their communities?
Yeah, so it's just like what we just said. It doesn't, so you don't have to fully figure it out to create a change. You don't have to have all the money in the world to create a change. You just need to start. You just need to start small with what you have. It can be having conversations with people to maybe change their mindsets. You just said you wish 3/4 of other rich men in Africa can be like Tony Elumelu. So it's just like it can be having conversations like this and creating awareness of things you can do as an individual instead of relying on the government to provide everything. But for women specifically, it can be volunteering for a cause, like in your community. Look around you and see problems that you can solve. Start small. So what kind of problems are existing around me? How can I volunteer to solve them? Start up projects, share the knowledge you have. So I will give an example of one problem I solved that I never knew I could solve a problem like that. So it was in my final year and we were on strike. So I was like, what can I do with this strike? I can't just be, because I can't even do anything. It was kind of a 3-month strike. Yeah, I was doing something, but I also wanted to ensure that my stay was impactful for my community. So I saw a digital library, like there was a digital library in my community and nobody goes there. I'm always the only one in the library and there were laptops everywhere. Nobody uses the laptop. So I kind of reached out to the organization, the NGO, and was like, what if I organize a 3 months computer training for young people, teenagers? Would they sponsor the scholarship for about like 30 or 35 young people? And they were like, excellent. We have these laptops. We don't use them. We can provide feeding for them. We can accept them for the 3 months scholarship. We can even provide tutors. So just like that, I found a problem and I was able to like solve it. And I'm very sure those teenagers that went through that computer training for 3 months would have like an edge over their peers, because sometimes you go to secondary school and you teach them computer on the board. They write what is computer on the board. They draw keyboard, draw the keyboard on the board. They draw the monitor. They don't have like computer lab. They don't know. Some people in the rural areas, they don't even know what monitor looks like. They draw everything on the board. And how would someone like that compete with global opportunities, given that we're in a digital world right now? So sometimes there are opportunities around you, but you won't see them. I wouldn't have known that I could have used the digital library as a solution for these kids, so you don't have to go to a developed area to find a solution or to find a problem to solve. It can just be within you, and ask for help. Look for people that can help. If it's funding, go and explain the issue you're trying to solve to people. Be very strategic and just give them a well-planned approach to solving that problem, that this is it, this is exactly what you want to solve, and this is how you plan to do it, and this is the help you need from them, maybe finance or them providing their knowledge about something or giving you a venue. So just that way, when you bring it together, you can solve a huge problem. To you, it might be a very small impact that you're making. But if everyone should start thinking that way, everyone in your community should start thinking positively, what can we all solve? When you bring it together, it will be a huge progress and positive solution. Then in addition to like identifying the problems in your local community, if you are interested in economics, you also need the knowledge to advance whatever it is you are doing. So maybe enroll for advanced economics programs, or if you're yet to get into the university, try to like go into economics related field. And in as much as you are learning about economics and gaining knowledge and doing your research, also know that local context is as valuable as classroom knowledge. Have that goal in mind. Who are you learning this economics for? Obviously, your community. So try to like apply what you're learning to try to like see yourself solving those problems that motivated you to study economics with what you are learning. So it doesn't just be economics for other people. It should be economics for your own people. So yeah.
Yeah, that's very nice. Please, for those of you joining us on this session, try and share this link so that people who are on your network can learn from this insightful conversation we are having here. And I'm expecting to see a lot of women here. One thing I always tell young people is this: try and look for who is your role model in whatever you are doing. One thing that has always motivated me in life is to take someone as a role model, not to compete with that person, but then to say, oh, this person that has gotten here, I want to be there. And then I start working towards that. So that is it. So as you guys can see, Jennifer has actually distinguished herself in the field, and she has actually proven to the whole world that women are not meant for kitchen and other room. Women can actually, for her to graduate with first class from one of the best universities in Nigeria, University of Nigeria Nsukka, popularly known as UNN, and having gotten a full funded scholarship to the United States in one of the Ivy League universities. This is very impressive, and a lot of women should actually plan to be like her and even do more than her. That is what we do at Edu Africa, like I always say. We try to see how we can assist so that you will go back and assist others. So now let's talk about your future aspirations and then your general advice for women out there. So what are your current goals after you finish your current master's at Yale University? And then how do you hope to contribute to development both in Nigeria and in the United States of America and other countries around the world? So what are your goals at Yale University upon graduation from this program?
Yeah, so after my master's program, my goal is to work at the intersection of economics research, policy development, as well as economic consulting as well. So
Wow.
I'm particularly interested in organizations like the World Bank with greater outreach to people, also IMF or African Development Bank, those international organizations or other think tanks focused on public finance, energy, social protection systems, or like any other development issue as well. So those organizations that think about how to solve poverty in developing countries, how to help countries become better, how to help people have good standard of living. And my long-term goal is to learn as much as possible, to have enough experience and influence so that I can come back to Nigeria and actually make a change, because Nigeria is a very tough place to create any change. It's a very, very tough place to create any. Nigeria is very tough. To make anything work in Nigeria is hard. So if you want to solve anything in Nigeria, you also have to gain experience, exposure, have good networks, and equip yourself, because you're going for a battle. And if you want to win, you have to have your instruments and so I'm interested in working in those type of organizations first and getting the knowledge I need before going back to Nigeria to contribute to national, maybe subnational development planning, whether it involves infrastructural developments, like strategy for infrastructural development, because I'm not an engineer, and also like data-driven solutions, into how we can solve poverty, how we can make things better for developing countries, as well as the United States. How can international organizations or international countries partner with developing countries, not just providing aids, randomly, because no country has ever made it with just relying on other people's money and aid. So if we want them to help, how can we come up with a real strategy, investment strategy, so that both countries can benefit mutually and nobody is like relying on other countries? So those are my goals. And also, yeah, I think that was your question.
Yeah, yeah. That was very wonderful. That was apt. At least when you are answering it, I said, wow, you are so ambitious. And that makes us to understand the fact that women, a lot of women out there are still uh, as ambitious as men. We all, just like you said, men, we, we will try to flatter us, but let me just say a little bit that men are so ambitious. And then having heard from you what you want to do after your studies, it means that you're actually thinking like a man. You know, you earlier mentioned that you surrounded yourself with a lot of men growing up because of how fast men think. But from your conversation so far, I mean, you are thinking even faster than most men. So I give you that thumbs up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so as I said, what do you think, or what advice do you have for young women aspiring to pursue higher education and global opportunities abroad? Now, earlier it's about economic, but now I'm now broadening it wider. What do you think? What do you advise young people, young women, African women out there? What do you advise them to do as they are pursuing academic and global opportunities?
Yeah. So I would just say you are not alone, and
Yeah.
neither are you the first to do this. So I've noticed that most people are, because I also have mentees, although I don't know who is mentoring who, but I do have mentees. And when I listen to them, I also say that myself. Like sometimes when I see opportunities, I'll be like, I'm not qualified. I don't think I'm qualified. And, but when I start speaking to people and looking out like for people's profile or checking people's trajectory, I'll even see that, oh, maybe I can actually do this. Maybe I can tell my story in a better way and be qualified for this for this position. So what I'm saying is you're not alone, and you're not the first person to do the most challenging thing you are currently thinking. Just know that people have gone there before you. So many people have gone there. Always like have a positive mind whenever you encounter any problem or any challenge, or maybe imposter syndrome telling you that you can't do this. Always be on the positive side and ask yourself, what can you do? What other solution do you have? What are the alternatives? What's come to us? Reach out to people that have gone through what you are trying to achieve. Just like Mr. Stanley said earlier, always have people you're looking up to, always have people that you're aspiring to be like. I do that a lot. And there are hundreds of people I'm aspiring to be like. It depends on what it is I want to do at that moment. I'll just go
Yeah.
and start looking for them on LinkedIn, and I'll be sneaking into their profile. I'll be checking what they did. Okay. I'll compare my own profile to theirs and see, oh, they actually took up this opportunity. I've not done this one. I have to do this one. Then I'll leave. Maybe I was looking up, but I should be looking here first. I'll go and imagine, let's say you want to work as a director, but and you check everybody that worked as a director at a particular company, and everybody has a master's, and then you have like a secondary school certificate, and you want to go and be a director. It won't work that way. So you have to do your BSc first, and maybe get your master's. As you can see, that many people got masters. So that is how it works. So when you look at people's profile, you see the steps they've taken and compare that to your own steps and see if they align, and see if there's a place maybe you are jumping something to something. Try to acquire those certificates they have, those, sometimes not everything, but as much as possible, trying to mirror their profile, and then shoot your shot and see if it works. And don't be afraid to try out things. Don't be afraid to, for instance, for graduate applications specifically, some programs want you to write GRE. Then people, even when they have the funding, they'll just get scared and be like, I don't understand this GRE anymore. I'm not writing it again. They will just dump the entire process and start looking for programs without GRE, forgetting that those programs without GRE might be more competitive. So it's about grit, it's about persistence. If you say you want to do something, just bottle up. I don't know how they say it. Just hold tight and give it all your best. It's better to do something once than have to do it over and over and over. It's so tiring. So if you decide you want to do something, if you decide you want to succeed, or you want to like take a particular path, I'll just advise, be resilient enough. Ask for help if you need it. It can be very overwhelming to get to a point that you want to give up. Surround yourself with people with the same mindset, people with the same goal and ambition, and they will always reach out and say, hi, how are you dealing with this issue right now? Then be vulnerable enough to know you need help. Be vulnerable enough to know that you need to learn something at a particular time, and you need to make sacrifices for whatever it is you've decided to do. So if you have a positive mindset all the time, whenever you have any challenge, there's always a solution. There's one thing people say, the more you look, the less you see. The more you knock, the more the sound will be heard. And the more you invest into something, the more you see profits from it. So, and also like avoid jumping around. At the end of the day, you'll be so tired and you have nothing at the end. So if you decide to do something, focus and give it all it takes at that particular moment. Yeah.
I hope our viewers are really taking pen and paper to jot down some of these points, because you are really making great points here. One major thing I just heard you say now, which is something that we all have been preaching for, is be positive, have a positive mindset in whatever you're doing. I always try to, encourage the young people that are following me on my social media platforms, and other people in EduAfric places, and in EduAfric social medias and all that. One thing I always tell them is keep pushing, keep pushing. There is no harm in trial. There is no harm in pushing. One day you will get there. Because, and in most cases, I use myself as an example, and I always use my story, not to impress, but to encourage and to motivate you. I remember that in those days that I was searching for scholarships, see, I applied to over 30 universities, more than 30 universities around the world. And in most cases, I always tell them that if you don't receive rejection letter, it means that you have not even submitted application. In fact, it means that you're not strong. That's my statement to them. If you have not received a rejection, there's this, me, I already know how they start that rejection message. They will just start, hello, Stanley, or dear Stanley. Thank you for the time you have spent in pursuing this blah 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 blah. They will now come to the second stage and say, however, or unfortunately,
Or after reviewing your application.
yes, or after reviewing your application, we found out that you are one of the strongest. If I'm one of the
But
strongest, I don't need to give it to me.
but we regret to. So
But we regret to. So the regret message will always be there. If it is not there, then if you get it, I've yesterday I was with my board members, we were in a board meeting, and I told them that all of us here, we're all in different countries studying. There is none of us that arrived to where we are on one application. If you didn't want to, just raise up and let me see you. And none of them raised their hands. So it means that all of us have experienced rejections in the past. And if you experience rejection, if you get it, you will value it. There is always a saying that nothing good comes easy. So if you get it so easy, you will not value it. You might travel and get there, and you will get away with the frivolities. Because here in the US and other countries, there is enjoyment too. there is enjoyment here. There is enjoyment everywhere. But then we need to remain focused, because if you remember what you suffered, writing SOP, writing personal statements, writing essays, writing research proposals and all that, the kind of research you did, the kind of money you spent, because in this application, you spend money, you spend time, you spend talent, see, there was even a time that time my roommate, because I lived in just a two bedroom flat in Nigeria, and I had someone I was living with. So in most cases, this guy will wake up in the night, maybe to urinate or so, to do something, or to come to the parlor to pick something. And you will see me in the parlor pressing my system, and then he was like, Stanley, are you sure you have not started Yahoo? And I told him, don't worry. So sometimes he will be calling me a shower scholarship. Every time you are, but I kept pursuing it until I got to where I am today. So it's something that people should be positive. They should have positive mindset. Sometimes I begin to ask myself in those days, what is it that I'm not doing right? How sometimes I begin to even blame myself. I say, upon all my first class, I made a first class. Got this award. I get this, and then why are they still giving me rejection? I mean, you know. But then it didn't deter me, and I continued to pursue. And what I always tell them is this: if I can make it, any other person in this life can make it. So don't
Exactly.
don't give up. Keep pushing.
All
One
you
day,
need, all you need is one yes out of
yes,
millions of no's.
out of the millions of no's,
Yeah.
1 yes will change the whole story for you. And most
Mhm.
of us here, it was just 1 yes that brought us where we are today. And we
Exactly.
give God the glory, because it is not by our power or by our might, but by his own grace
By
and
the
his
grace of
mercy.
God.
Yeah. So now, how can we encourage more women to take active participation in leadership roles, both in academia, in government, in economics, and in development as a whole? What do you suggest? Like I said earlier, the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan's regime advocated for 35% of women in politics. But it appears that that was not actually achieved eventually. We've not gotten there. So what do you think? How do you think we can encourage women to participate more in academia, in politics, and in economies, in development, and in all aspects of life? We need to have more women there. So what do you think? What are the strategies that you are suggesting to your fellow women?
So I think I would first of all suggest to organizations that are interested in making this happen to not just focus on adult women already, like people that have gone to the universities, just like I said before, or people that are already doing advanced programs, because oftentimes that's what I see. Most programs are available for people that have gone to universities. And I feel like there's a reason for that anyway. Maybe those people are easily accessible because most mentorship programs occur online, through like virtual platforms. So it's easier to access the university level women or maybe advanced career women. But remember what I said about cultural norms and societal limitations, in terms of shaping people's mindsets. I feel like going back as young as teenage level when they are still teenagers and try to like imbibe the leadership culture in them, trying to like change their mindset at that young age and letting them know that they can actually take up any position they want and remove that limitation of, oh, don't be too ambitious because because um because you're a woman, so there's a particular level you should be aiming for. I remember when I was young, or maybe during my teenage when I was a teenager or maybe early adults. So I had a friend, a male friend, and whenever I be like, I want to build a house in my father's house, he'd be like, why should you build a house in your father's house? That's not your role. I'll be like, I want to have money to the extent I can build a house in my father's house. I have 5 sisters. So who will not build a house now? It was like, oh, it's not your business to build a house in your father's house. You shouldn't be thinking that way. You should be thinking of how to just like maybe just finish your education and get to a level and, just get married and be quiet. And you used to like annoy me. I always be annoyed with that particular friend. Why are you thinking this way? Like, who would do it if I don't do it? So, and most people grow up with that mindset. Most ladies grow up with that mindset. We don't just see beyond a particular level. And that's why most people, when they get opportunities like a PhD offer to like do a PhD, they start thinking, should I take this PhD? Should I not take this PhD? Will it prevent me from getting married? Will it not prevent me from getting married? And then you get married and you are still suffering in Nigeria. So which one is better? Why don't you think alongside your marriage? So why don't you carry your marriage and go and do the PhD together? There's always a way out of things, but many people just like shut things down. They don't think of what could happen if I take this opportunity. How else can I do the marriage stuff? If I take this opportunity, how else can I balance my family and whatever it is I'm going for? So I feel like going back to the younger ones and preaching, leadership, ambition, doing not just leadership ambition, but like maximizing their potential, like letting them know that they can do whatever it is they want. They can study engineering if they want to, because technology right now has enabled women to study engineering. You don't have to be lifting heavy things as well. What is required is your knowledge to control those technologies. You can study whatever it is you want to study. You can venture into tech. It's very important at that grassroots level before they get to the university and have like a more developed mindset. And then for those organizations also interested in making this happen, we should like create inclusive academic spaces. If you're admitting students, try to like admit a balanced ratio. So far enough women applied or enough male applied, try to make the admission like 50-50 and not 20 and 70s. I don't know if any program still intentionally tries to make the ratio imbalance, but I feel like women are now having more representation or more consideration in any admission process. Also in the leadership, in businesses, other leadership roles, women should be intentionally made visible, because as young female adults, if we're looking up and we are seeing people that have gone before us being in top leadership positions, we can actually know that these things are possible, and we'll be encouraged to keep on doing whatever it is that we're doing and fighting the stereotypes and getting more knowledge, experience, trying to like encourage ourselves to aspire to be like them and to put in more into what we are doing. Then for my advice for young people, like the strategies. Honestly, I think I'm still very young to be advising people, but I would say just have a positive mindset and learn out. Don't allow your society to limit you. So just believe that you can achieve anything you want to achieve, especially when you are still very young, because there's a point you reach and you'll not be qualified for most opportunities again, or you have to think twice before you take up any opportunity because you might have a family or you might have like every other factors like um affecting your decision to make a better decision or to take up an opportunity. So when you are for young girls, like very young girls, when you are still very young on your own, try as much as possible to maximize your potential. Like what can you do to make your life better, yourself first, before you get to that stage where you have to like reconsider. Maybe you now have children, you now have family, you now have to reconsider. You can't just like leave and just travel and go to another country and say you're doing a PhD and you leave your children without like thinking, there will be some circumstances that will now draw you back. But when you are still on your own, try to maximize your young age, do as much as you can, and don't allow anybody to limit you. Be independent, just look for opportunities to make your life better, especially when you are still very young, before you get to that age where things will slow you down. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Go for it. Women should fight for themselves. Even though when they are pushing, I appreciate a lot of women so far in politics. Yeah. And just like I always say, women have a lot of things to offer to the society. One thing I love about women is that they are more, they follow things to the letter. Men will just and they want just want to go like that. But women are more particular. They will follow it and make sure that they get it right. And that is why, in most cases, when you place women in the leadership position, you will see them get things right. Somebody like Professor Dora Akunyili of blessed memory, she did very wonderfully well being in that position as the NAFDAC Director General in Nigeria.
True.
Although a lot of people may not like her approach or what, but you know, there was something I always tell my friends: you may not easily bribe a woman, maybe because of their resilience, but I think, in my own view, it's my personal opinion anyway, that you can easily bribe a man than bribing a woman. But I stand to be corrected anyway. However, I believe that women should keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and with that, we will get there. So, in conclusion, can you just tell us generally why you have, like I said when I started, I saw you put uh, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as your WhatsApp display picture. So, what is that this woman has done, which you so much like her for? And what advice are you giving to others about her? Let's just talk a little bit about what you think is good about her, which you have actually, or you are currently emulating, that will makes you to have her as your role model.
Yeah, so I think when I started, I was like, I mentioned that she motivated my interest in economics because at that time I was learning the world economics. People were like, "Oh, I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a doctor," and I would always say I want to be an economist. And my teachers would be like, "Why do you want to be an economist?" So, but I knew that I've seen somebody that is an economist being the first female minister of finance in Nigeria, and as you can know, she's the first of several things, first female of several things.
Yeah, first,
And
exactly.
yeah, so for me, I just like I've said severally, I always like try to mirror people's profile, just have someone that I'm mirroring, and so I'm looking into people's career trajectory, and seeing the steps they've taken, and I'm trying to like replicate the same steps, and because I aspire to get to where they are, or maybe do what they've done, or take the same path. So Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is one of them, and I think she's like the first of them. So for me, having her pictures everywhere is like a reminder of this is why you started this journey. So even when I want to give up and say, why am I even studying economics? Like, there's just too much trouble. Why do I want to do this? And when I see those pictures around me, I would be reminded of this is why you wanted to do this in the first place, and this is where you were headed. Because sometimes we can lose our way, we can lose the journey, and at some point you just get confused. Why did you even start all this? Like, what are you even doing? So you need a constant reminder of where you were headed, your why, like why did you start something? What so for me, I always like have artificial motivations, like placing things around me to keep on motivating me. If it's not intrinsic, like me thinking of intrinsic in the sense of my own personal goals driving me, I should also have like things around me driving me. So when I look at people that I admire to be like still progressing, even at a very old age, and I'll be like, you that is young, why are you sitting down there doing nothing, right? So, and you see young people like you too. I also have young people that I admire a lot, doing a lot of things. And I ask myself, what are you doing with your young age? You're just like allowing your young age to waste, so those are artificial motivations that I place around me, so that when I'm losing it, and when I'm being lax, and when I'm, thinking of something else that is not in alignment with my goal, I can look around and I see why I even started in the first place and why I should continue. So yeah.
Wow, it was nice, insightful session. Um, thank you so much for providing these insightful thoughts. You know, just like we do at Edu Afrique, we try to get people, connect people together. And uh, we also try as much as we can at Edu Afrique to maximize every program, both nationally and international program, to bring up something that aligns with such program. And having you come to speak at the month that we are celebrating women internationally is something that is very germane for us at Edu Afrique, and it aligns perfectly with our mission and vision. So thank you so much. And uh, for those who joined here and those who were not able to join, try and share this. And then, like I always say, we try to connect people to people. So
Sorry,
look
sorry.
up, look up to her, Jennifer's uh, LinkedIn page. Follow her. I always see her post a lot of nice contents on her page. And I must confess, whatever, if you need help, you can always reach out to her. And maybe if there are some questions, or if there are some things that she was not able to mention here, you can possibly go to her private message to message her. And then, so thank you, Jennifer, so much for your active participation. Thank you for being here. Um, and we
Hello,
look
sorry.
forward.
But sorry to come in. I think there's a question on our YouTube channel. One
Ah,
and
okay.
a question. So maybe she might just want to round off with that.
Yeah. Can you bring up the question? I think if you can bring it up, and she can, thank God, if she will provide the answer to it directly here.
Okay, let me quickly do that. Um, okay, there's a question from can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, there's a question from Anastasia. She said, please, Mark, can you recap the names of the organizations that assisted you with the application fees? I think you mentioned that. I just want to give a recap. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, very important.
Yes. So there is, for those interested in economics or any related field to economics, there is GAIN. So the Graduate Application International Network. If you're accepted into their mentorship phase, so there are two phases: the webinar phase, where you attend series of webinars to learn about the application process in economics or any related field to economics. Then you would submit another application, a formal application for mentorship. So the mentorship, they help to pay for application fees, I think up to 10 applications if you get a certain GRE score. And they will also pay for any standardized tests like GRE, TOEFL, or IELTS if you want to. And they also help to submit your GRE scores to school or your TOEFL scores to school, like standardized tests. Those ones, like $35 or something. They also assist with any application related fee, even transportation to your GRE center. They can help you to fix that if you request. So, but the thing is, your program has to be related to economics for them to support you. Then another one is Education USA. So there's Education USA Lagos and there's Education USA Abuja. And I think the applications will be coming up soon, either this March or April. So look out for those applications on their Instagram channel or LinkedIn as well. Like follow them and anticipate the application. So Education USA would pay for your standardized test as well, especially Education USA Lagos, and provide mentorship and resources that are valuable. Then if you get an admission from the US universities alone, just US, they would help with the flight tickets, your visa payment, like the pre-departure expenses that you might encounter. They will assist you with that. There is also iScholar. iScholar is very similar to Education USA, but I don't think they help with the pre-departure expenses like the flight and the visa. I'm not sure, so you can check that online. And there's also Michael Taiwo Scholarship, so they help pay the standardized test and some application fees as well. But I'm not sure about travel tickets and visa. So these are like the four organizations that I know, but I'm very sure that there are some out there as well. So you can explore other opportunities and see what you can get.
Yeah, that's and they do have freak. We are hopefully going to join some of these
Yeah.
organizations. We've started something last year, and this year we are looking forward to pay application fee for some people in a competitive process, which we're going to announce very soon. So for her, she can keep on following our social media and know when we will announce the application process. I think we are hoping to open our portal for applications for those that would want us to pay for the application fee. We are looking to pay for, at least for now, we don't have money to pop to 10 schools, but we can actually afford like 3 schools by God's grace for each of the winners when we finally announce the winners. So we are looking forward to roll out the application by May 2025, and the application period will last till like June, July, and by August we will announce the winners, so that, because we know that application period usually starts in most universities, both in US and other countries, usually starts around that August, September, October, November till December, even till January. So if we announce winners by August, we are hopefully going to have those that we will now start mentoring from that August, September, October, and by December, we will help them submit their applications and pay their application fees to those universities. And we'll keep on mentoring them even when they get the admission, and even see how we can even assist them with the travel allowance if they eventually get their visas. So it's a process which we are doing, and by God's grace, we got some funding from friends, from well wishers, people have donated to this cause, and we are still looking for more donors. We need to have more donors, so that, because the more donation we have, the more number of persons we can accommodate in this process. So, one of the things that motivated me in this process is when I was coming to US, the day I was traveling to US, I actually in the flight, the guy that was seated by my side is a scholar from Education USA. So me and two of us, we had conversation until we got almost to US. It was a 12 hours flight. I flew direct from Lagos to US. So we had a long conversation and he was telling me more about the process, how he started, how he knew about Education USA, how he started joining their this and how they paid his GRE and how that even this flight he seated was paid for by them. I said, wow, this is very wonderful. So and then I said, okay. And in my mind that day, I was calculating because I already have in mind what can I do when I get to a certain level in life. Okay, so I recorded it down. I said it's something that we can actually look forward to. So if we have more, we just need more organizations to do this because just like I said earlier, challenges we are coming from disadvantaged place like Nigeria where uh, the poverty index is very high and the currency, the exchange of naira to dollar is something that is outrageous, especially now. So when you are earning a salary of even 300K in Nigeria, by the time you pay one application fee, you will see that that 300K may not even be enough or two application fees. So it's it's something that is crazy at this moment. So we need organizations. That is even why currently we are pushing for. We submitted a grant for one of these organizations abroad. One of these organizations trying to see if they can give us funds so that we fund some of these GRE exams.
Mm-hmm.
We have submitted the proposal to them. We are hoping that they select us. But if they don't select us, we keep pushing. So we actually need more people, more organizations, more institutions to do this for young people because there are lots of talented young people out there. In most cases, when people submit applications, when we roll out an application and I see people's applications, like for instance, in November last year, we offered application fee to 5 persons, but not 5%. A lot of people submitted. And I was like, almost everybody is qualified. I mean, you see talents, but then how do we make choice based on we have for qualified people, but we don't have enough fund to do this. So we always regret not taking the number of persons that we want. But then what can we do? There is always a general saying in Nigeria that at all, nothing was passed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, even if instead of not giving at all, we try to give as much as we can and leave the rest to God, and we keep pushing. So we call on most organizations around there to uh, sponsor some of us that are doing these things. We already have a platform to do that, and we already have a lot of people on a daily basis. We get a request upon request upon. Even as we speak this afternoon, we got a request on our LinkedIn page, and we are still trying to address that one. So, so it's a challenge. You will not blame people. People have this mindset to help, but then they do not have what it takes to do that. So, that being said, thank you so much. So, is there any other question, Pascal, from
Yes,
that we
yes,
ask?
yes. So somebody is asking for Jennifer's LinkedIn profile link. I don't know if you could share on the group on the chat box here while I drop it on the YouTube channel. I think that will be fine.
Okay, so yeah, Jennifer, if you can just share because I mentioned earlier that why we do some of these things is to get people who have had one step ahead. Let me not use the word who have achieved. So let's just say some people who have had one step ahead of others. So we bring them to Edu Afrique in order to connect them to the young ones that are there. because we alone cannot do it. We need more people. So we connect. That's why we call ourselves Education African Scholars Global Connect. We connect people together. So please, if you can share it in the
Yes.
Zoom link, in
I've
the
sent
Zoom
it to
chat.
Pascal. Yes.
Yeah, so Pascal, please share it with them. You guys should connect with her. And then any questions or any advice or any help you would, if you want that, please, it's not for help, it's not for finance. So it's, I know we are students here and we are just on a stipend. It's not something, it's not a salary, it's not. A lot of people come to my DM asking for financial help and all there and there and there. And there. I said, Omo, I'm still a student too. I'm paying school fees. I'm paying a lot of bills here. I'm paying house rent and I have my family issues and all that to take care of. So, but then I do the much I can and then leave the rest to God. So please uh, try to connect with her for any advice you want, for mentorship, for any kind of help. She can provide it for you. She can send you links to apply, and she can also assist you in any way. So is there any other question, Pascal, that needs our attention?
No, 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 none for now.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jennifer, for your insightful discussion, for your insightful session. I think at this time we will have to end the live session and come back to our house, our in-house. So
Thank you
stay
for having
tuned.
me.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, and may God continue to bless you and bless everyone who have participated in this live event. Happy Sunday